Action!
It's okay. Canadian.
It's a film in design like films of the 70s that were willing to sort of discuss geopolitical issues without sort of pointing fingers directly at a specific person.
Okay.
You said they were both for you.
What do you care?
When we put the script out, the first thing that happened was everybody in town called and said, I want in. Because the star of this film is the screenplay that Gagan wrote, and everyone wants to be involved so far. Anybody we've touched has come around and said they want to do it. That's a nice feeling. When you say to an actor that's really talented and has carried a lot of movies themselves, and you say to them, listen, you know, the part you could do is this, and it's not a large part, and they say, I don't care, I just want to be part of this. That doesn't happen very often, you know.
I'd set up my own exchange. Hang on to my energy for as long as I could.
I think a lot of people, you know, Matt's role, my role there, we're all sort of, it's an ensemble piece. I've always had success in ensemble pieces. Just so that you said you did it, it's because you really want to be involved in the film. ER for me was a show like that where when you got ER, it was this great project. The role, you know, had 5 scenes in it. It wasn't like, well, I've got this, it's the George Clooney show. But the role itself was small, but it was terrific. But I felt more like the show was the star. In much the same way this film is the star. The star of this film is the screenplay.
So you're going to be able to hear from here this boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom, boom, boom. And you may want to acknowledge that in some way.
Steve Gagan's a really bright guy, really articulate, knows exactly what he wants. He won the Oscar for writing Traffic, so he certainly understands disjointed, nonlinear storytelling. So I feel as if our job is to only find ways of supporting him and what he needs.
Okay, so that it's making this noise. I'm eating. I kind of look for a minute over there.
You realize everyone's
Nobody
gone.
there. I look back this way. Nobody's there.
The minute you go on location, it makes a big difference. You know exactly what you're trying to do. For me, it's interesting to be in a third world. It's a very good way of informing us as actors.
$1 million. All right, $1 million. Boom, 7. Oh, 9. Not good.
There's certainly an element of danger that comes in going to Morocco.
21. Okay, I'll take all your money.
But all of those things were reasons we felt we had to do the film, not reasons to stay away from it. Initially, the character was written to be Bob Baer, the character that I'm playing. And it was an interesting thing because he's the last guy in the world you think would be working for the CIA. You know, sweet-faced, kind of nice gentleman. And he was in the CIA for 20 years. Bob's book was really sort of fascinating. The more time that the writer and director Steve Gagan spent with Bob Baer, the more that they discovered there was a story actually to be told. Got a great sense of adventure. You know, he gets himself in places where we would go, okay, that's deep enough into the cave. That's just where he starts. He's also incredibly bright, you know, knows a lot about a lot of subjects because he's had to. One of the factors, which is sort of my storyline, is the systematic deconstruction of the CIA over a period of time and what the effects of that were, which was there weren't very many Arab-speaking operatives in the Middle East, which is a danger. And you know, what we've learned from the 911 Commission along the way was that we thought we were finished with the Cold War and that we didn't need CIA operatives on the ground.
What is it you tell people you do these days, Bob?
Between State Department and Defense. And so that was the first piece of the puzzle for the film, was deciding how we were going to play this, because we didn't want it to feel as if we were trying to make a political stand out of this film. The truth is we're actually trying to tell a story which is sort of apolitical. If I told you that I knew something that was going to happen to someone, I felt that I had to stop it, what would you say? And the more we started dealing with it, the more we started talking about directions we wanted the character to go in, we realized that there were some issues with family. And he has real family, you know, that are real breathing people. issues that we thought, well, we're not able to really explore these issues in fairness because these people actually exist. So why don't we give them a fictitious family and really be able to give it some drama along the way and tell a story rather than just trying to, insert sort of a documentary of one man's life into 5 other ongoing stories. So we felt like, let's get away from that. And we realized that we're just sort of taking the essence of the issues that Bob had to deal with and putting them on the screen. So I wasn't looking to mimic him because I knew I wasn't going to be doing Bob. What mostly I was doing was just trying to find out what were the procedures for him, what was recruiting like, and all of those things. What you learn about it that I didn't understand as much is that 2/3 of your job is reading. You're constantly sort of just consuming information. And you find that it's so healthy for him, and it's contagious around the people that he's grown to love and his friends and stuff. He was a true believer, He wasn't sort of this cynic. Bob really believed in, this is the right thing to do, this helps my country, and I'm sure he did. He doesn't really go into the things he did in the CIA, and it's probably better that he doesn't. But you find that he was a true believer who became disillusioned because the company sort of let him down eventually, He was part of the downsizing that happened to everybody else. And so he sort of experienced what the entire country was going through in a microcosm in the CIA.
Action.
So there was fun stuff to just spend time around. And what mostly we wanted to do was show a CIA operative at the end of his career without any prospects or any hopes or anything left. And just show a guy that's barely holding his act together, barely holding his family together, not moving up in the CIA and rapidly losing any clout he has there.
2 men have been murdered. We've been tasked with the damage assessment.
We'll need you to turn your passport over to us.
Passports.
And so for me, the secret to that was to not look like I do in other projects. So it's, put on 30 pounds in 30 days. And that was really comfortable. Shaved my hairline back, and, it was a lot of fun. It's been interesting because you're completely anonymous. I've tried other disguises before and they haven't worked, but if you put on 30 pounds and grow a beard and shave your hairline back, you can walk into any restaurant in town and not get a table. It's what we do in films, it's our job is to sort of transform ourselves. I had to learn to say some things in Arabic. And it was really an interesting thing because if you're speaking Italian, which I don't speak, but I'm trying to learn, or if you speak, any of the European languages, there's something you can latch onto. There's a word, there's a PH that is going to sound that way. And it's just a bunch of letters that you don't recognize. And it's sort of the same way with the language, It's, I say, Shukran ala heda leko malana malana dia tuka la musawi are de fidekel. Like, go. I have no idea what. So you're literally learning it just phonetically first, but then it can't just be this disjointed thing you say. So you have to find ways to reconnect. It was tricky. It went on for a bit. It was interesting. It was fun.
Cut! Cutting that.